Hi, what's up, beautiful people? Listen, welcome to the channel. Today we have why I don't want and don't deserve reparations. So this one is from Praga U. Awesome. I'm excited to check this one out. Let's check it out.
My great-great-grandfather, Silas Burgess, came to America, shackled in the belly of a slave ship. He was sold on an auction block in Charleston, South Carolina, to the Burgess plantation. Orphaned by age 8, he was fortunately surrounded by elder slaves who, though physically chained, mentally envisioned themselves as free men. They escaped, taking young Silas with them, making their way to West Texas. Silas worked hard and saved his money. Eventually, he became the owner of 102 acres of farmland, which he cultivated and paid off within 2 years. I proudly carry the name of my first American ancestor, who, like millions of others drawn or brought to our country, struggled past overwhelming obstacles to live the American dream. Silas founded the first black church, the first black elementary school in this town. He was a Republican, a Christian, and a pillar of his community. He was proud and industrious and taught his children to be the same. Now, because great-great-grandpa Silas was once a slave, so-called progressives want to give me money. Never mind that, like him, I'm an entrepreneur who received an excellent education, built businesses, raised a remarkable family, and unlike most white Americans, earned a Super Bowl ring. Because of work I've never done, stripes I've never had, under whip I've never known, these progressives want to give me money I've never earned. The fact that this money will be forcibly taken from others who also dreamed, worked, and sacrificed for it, I'm told is not my concern, but it is. At the core of the reparations movement is a distorted and demeaning view of blacks and whites. It grants superiority to the white race, treating them as an oppressive people too powerful for black Americans to overcome. It brands blacks as hapless victims, devoid of the ability which every other culture possesses to assimilate and to progress. The reparations movement conveniently forgets the 150 years of legal, social, and economic progress obtained by millions of American minorities. It also minimizes the sacrifice of hundreds of thousands of white Americans and a Republican president who gave their lives to eradicate slavery. I think Grandpa Silas would have seen this loss of American lives as payment in full.
Yes.
Every grateful black American, then and now, will feel the same.
Yes.
The reparations movement also reinforces a view of racial relationships that undermines America's Judeo-Christian foundation. It defies the ideals of forgiveness and second chances and scorns individual accountability. Proponents of reparations believe that black Americans are incapable of carrying their own burdens, while white Americans must bear the sins of those who came before them. Proponents do not take into account the majority of white Americans who never owned slaves, who fought to end slavery, or who came to America long after it was ended. This divisive message marks the black race as forever broken, a people whose healing can only come through the guilt, pity, and benevolence of whites. Tragically, we now see this playing out on our college campuses. As young white Americans acknowledge their skin color as a privilege, young black Americans, with no apparent shame, accept their skin color as one that automatically confers victim status. In doing so, they seem unaware that this perception of blacks was shared by the 1960s Southern white supremacists of my youth. Those who seek reparations have accepted the theory that skin color alone is capable of making one race superior to the other, that with no additional effort, values, or personal initiative, white Americans will succeed while black Americans will fail. At its very core, this represents the condescending evil of racism. It certainly does not represent black America's potential. 40% of black households today live the middle-class American dream. There are thousands of black Americans among our nation's top 1% of income earners. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, and professors, not to mention music, TV, film, and sports stars. Many of our society's most revered and celebrated citizens are black. The journeys of these Americans to wealth and prominence vary, like those of their white counterparts. But many benefited from having ancestors, like Grandpa Silas, who embraced the opportunities their country provided and who left behind a legacy of proud, productive, patriotic, and successful families. Why should white Americans, my neighbors, friends, and fellow citizens, owe me anything? If Grandpa Silas were here, I'm certain his message to everyone, whether black or white, will simply be this: good character cannot be bought by bribery.
Thank you.
I'm Burgess Owens for Prager University.
Like, come on, it's just simple, it's glary. Every time you hear black Americans scream, oh, we are victims, like, who is victims of what exactly? What is making you cry out victim? Like, you guys don't even look beyond your skin color. I keep saying this. It's high time you people grow beyond seeing yourselves as just black and see yourself as human beings. But of course, you all don't want to see yourselves as human beings. You keep crying and crying and crying, or saying we deserve reparation. No, you don't deserve reparation. If you need, if you're seeking anything, and maybe your community is not good or whatever, and you need the government to hear you guys, let the government provide jobs for you. Not look waiting for this thing. How about the people who lost their lives trying to fight for your freedom? Y'all are not even tapping into the opportunities you have. I keep saying this. Y'all have schools, and you're not paying school fees from nursery school, how they call it, you see, kindergarten, how they call it, to high school. It's free of charge. But no, it's a problem for you guys to attend. It's a problem. Even here in Africa, in the African continent, most schools here, people pay tuition fees from kindergarten to high school, even to university. They pay it, and people go. In fact, it's mandatory to go to school. You hardly see people who don't go to school. Even those that cannot even afford it, or even those that don't even have good school, they still go to school. But no, your own is free. Is a problem. I've said it before, and I will keep saying it. Black Americans don't deserve reparation. Nothing. They don't. Continue. Stop seeing yourself as victims. You're like, if you keep seeing yourself as victim, how is it any better than what your ancestors who were slaves? How is it any better than the life they lived? How is it? No. They don't deserve reparation. Nobody does. Please. The government is not owing anybody. But every time we want to cry and say, oh, we need reparation, the government should pay us reparation. Pay for what? It was your ancestors. If you're even crying, oh, we need reparation because we were not treated nicely, we were victims, you might as well come to Africa and come and cry to your African ancestors and hear what they're going to say, and see if anybody's going to answer you. Because of course, it's America. America, they are white people. Because if you cry, the white people will look at it and say, oh, we are oppressing these people. Then they will listen to you. Because you know, if you come and meet your fellow black person, they will not listen to you. But of course, because they are whites, they obviously, the only thing you can do is to cry victims and say, oh, they are oppressing you. You gotta do better. You gotta do better, honestly. It's not even telling good for your community at all. It's not. I mean, there are other people who are doing well, who are doing greatly for themselves. You cannot even look at the opportunities and tap into it and say, okay, what are the little opportunities? What are the tiny things for me to do? What are the things for me to do for me to make myself better? Instead of sitting down somewhere and keep crying victims. For how long will you continue doing this? You pass it on from generation to generation. Is that how you want to be living your life? Doesn't make sense. I don't even understand. Honestly, I don't. Well, honestly, what this video just said here is the truth. Because every time, if the blacks keep crying and say, oh, we are victims, it make the whites look and say, oh, yeah, we are oppressing them. But of course, nobody is oppressing you, because I've got to ask, who exactly is oppressing you? Who exactly? It just because you know, obviously, that when you cry victim, people will listen to you, and then they'll be like, oh, they'll want to give you tissue to wipe your tears. Just sad. It's just sad. If you actually, you're crying as victim, because one, you should be very grateful for the freedom you have in America. You should be very grateful, because I'm sure if your ancestors were not sold, if your ancestors remained in in Africa, and they were not sold, you would have wanted to live the American dream, or you would have wanted to enjoy the freedom Americans have, and you will not be complaining. But now you have it for free. You have it at the luxury and the comfort of your home. Of course, you will not value it, because what? You did not earn it. You never earned it. So why would you even value it? Because if you had worked for it, you would even know the importance. You will not even be crying the victim cry. Stop it. It's not good. It doesn't even tell good of you. It doesn't. Stop seeing yourself as victims. Start seeing yourself as equals. Stop looking yourself beyond the skin color you have on your skin, and tap into the opportunities. Listen, there are many foreigners, many people who go to America, and you see them successful. They are not even born citizens, but you see them successful. But I keep asking, what is happening with the citizens? What is happening with the people who are there? The only thing you hear them is just to cry, victim cry. And there are people who come and tap into the opportunities, because of course lots of people still believe in the American dreams, and people come and they tap into it and say, oh, there is American dream and this is it, let us tap into it. But you, that you're even there, you don't even see the American dream, because the only thing that has covered your eyes is victimhood. That's the only thing. Because when you cry victim, of course people will listen to you. That's the only thing. There are many opportunities in America. Just in case you don't know, there are many opportunities, and you have to look beyond the victim cry and start tapping into that. Tap into the opportunities. I mean, those people you see that are successful today, they don't have two heads. They don't have. They are the same humans as you. Or you want to tell me that there is no successful black man in the black community? It's very impossible for you to even say that. Or you want to say that there is no successful black man in your community that was, his ancestors was also a slave, that is not that is not successful from your community. Don't tell me that. But of course, it's the ones that don't want to do anything that will sit down and be crying, reparation, we are being victim, we are being oppressed. If that's what you want to be doing for the rest of your life, no problem, keep it up. But all the same, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment down below. What do you think about the reparation and stuff? What are your contributions, especially regarding this video and the history of America and the opportunities in America? I really love your contribution, and you can share other useful information you think might be really helpful. And until next time, see you in the next video.